Ahoy, mateys! Welcome aboard my podcast. I am Jason with Jay's Paradise Travels, and I appreciate you tuning in for this week's episode. The last episode I recorded, I talked about my experience on MSC, and prior to that, I had a cruise with Carnival. And in both cruises, I ended up going to Nassau, Bahamas. And in this episode, I wanted to talk about my experience in Nassau, Bahamas. The cruise that I went on in MSC had a stop in Nassau, Bahamas, but it wasn't originally planned for it. So that itinerary that we had on MSC, it was supposed to be 2 days at their private island, which is Ocean Key. And then we were going to go over to Mexico. But because of weather, and I don't know if you got a chance to hear my podcast about MSC, our first day or two had it was raining as we were getting on the ship, and it was the first time I had ever had that as I was embarking a ship for a cruise, having weather like that. Well, as we sailed on, the very next day we were supposed to be in Ocean Key, which is their private island. Was it the next day, or do we have a day at sea first? Now I got to think about that. Well, whatever. It was going to be relatively right away. We were going to have 2 days there. But because the weather was bad at the time, we actually got redirected over to Nassau to spend one day of those 2 days. And I was a little disappointed at first just because I had never done an itinerary with an overnight stay like that, an extended stay. So I was looking forward to doing that for the first time. And we did just go to Nassau on the cruise that we went on Carnival back in December. So December 2023 and February 2024 are both of those cruises, and both of them I ended up going to Nassau. But I was glad that we did get to go, even a second time, and I'll get into that there. So we had both of those occasions that we went to Nassau, and when we got there, the first I'm gonna kind of combine it. I'm gonna kind of combine both times going in one podcast since it's the same destination. The first time going there in December of 2023 when we were on Carnival. Uh, it had been a while since we had done a Caribbean cruise. It had been a couple years. And the cruise that we did the year before that, we were in Greece. And that'll be a future episode as well. Um, so this was the first time kind of going to a Caribbean destination in a couple of years. And it was me and my family on the Carnival cruise. And we were actually eating breakfast in the dining room as we were coming into port. And I guess since it had been a couple years, kind of forgot how pretty it can be to look at the water and look at the port as you're coming in. And it was really nice to look at, nice day out. And we were coming in. We didn't get off right away. Um, in fact, we were eating breakfast, and we had a party of seven altogether on that cruise. It was me, my dad, my wife, obviously. I had another couple come with us, and we had my uncle and aunt on that one. And so we kind of all were doing our own thing there to begin with. So the couple that we were with uh, didn't quite get out right away. They were, uh, I guess you could say, taking their time a little bit in the morning, which is fine. It's everyone's vacation. I'm not there to rush anybody to do anything. But I didn't want them to be by themselves while we were all ready to go out. So my uncle, aunt, and my dad ended up uh, heading off the ship and going into town. And we stuck around a little bit and waited for our friends to be ready. They eventually were. And I had been to Nassau before, but it had been years ago since I had last been to Nassau. And we got in there, and you're docked right in an area of a lot of shopping that is gated too. So you get off the ship, and you've got your docks, and there's multiple ships that are docked there too. It's not just built for one. It's built for at least three, maybe even up to four. And it looked like as we were leaving, I believe it looked like even further down another part of the island, they may be building another dock for even more. So Obviously, they're doing well with having cruise ships come in. We were right up front where we were docked, so we just got off. We just had to walk a little ways, and we were pretty much right there. They had this interesting thing there at the corner of the dock, where it's like this big screen, and on it they would have a variety of different marine life animals coming through. It was almost like looking at a virtual fish tank, yeah, but with not just goldfish, actual, stuff you'd see in the sea, including dolphins and sharks. So that was kind of cool to look at. And you go out from there, and if you turn right after you get out of there, you have a lot of different booths and stands there that you can do shopping. They have all kinds of things from souvenirs to local knickknacks, things that people make. There's different places to get alcoholic drinks or stuff that's local. Um, they even had, I believe, a museum. I forgot how much the museum was. We didn't go to the museum to see what it is. We stepped inside briefly just to kind of check out the price, but we ended up not going. So they have a wide variety of things there, and it's really pretty. I really like the colors. It's very colorful as you're walking around. It definitely gives you that island vibe, which is which is nice. When you go on vacation and you go to the Caribbean, you want to experience an island vibe. So that's really nice to be able to shop around. If I remember correctly, there was a an ice cream stand or gelato stand, one of the two that my wife and the other couple, the wife of that couple, they got some gelato. I believe it was gelato, and we sat down, and there was a door to go in from one end and a door to go into the other. It was kind of like on a corner unit. They actually had a few doors really, but we sat at a table there, and both doors were open. I believe there was a fan going, so it made for a nice little cool cross breeze. So it was very refreshing being able to sit down, have the gelato, have that breeze because in the Bahamas it's definitely warm weather and definitely you know it can get hot. So you have the ability to get out of the sun and enjoy a cool, refreshing snack or a drink. You could probably get a drink there. There was stands there that you could get drinks like a Bahama Mama, and which the second time around, the other couple that we were with, they got a Bahama Mama because they're in the Bahamas. If you're in the Bahamas, get a Bahama Mama. I honestly don't remember what's in a Bahama Mama, but whatever it is, I'm sure it's tasty. Those are the type of drinks. If I'm going to have a drink, those are the type of drinks I like because I've got more of a sweet palate. So I do like drinks like that as opposed to hardcore liquor, just straight up or anything like that. A beer or wine, or anything. I like sweeter drinks. So I didn't get one myself, but they do have them there, and they'll cut like up a coconut and make it really fancy looking, which is kind of neat. Being able to uh, drink right out of that, so it's that's kind of cool. If you get a chance to try it, that's it's recommended. I would say, anyways. So so they sat down and had some gelato. We sat down with them. I tried a bite and that was pretty good too. Always like I said, I like sweets, so that was nice. We did that, but the first time there, I was on a mission to look for something. So I have a coworker at the University of Michigan. Me and my wife, it's just a side fun job. We work at Michigan Stadium as ushers. And one of my coworkers there, when I was telling him about going to the Bahamas, he wanted me to get him some rum from there, but a specific one called Ole Nassau, Ole as in OLE, kind of like if you know the college Ole Miss, they spell it OLE, Ole, not old. Ole Nassau. He had it years ago and was really interested in getting it again. Wanted me to bring him some. I was like, all right, I'll try looking for it. So they had a bunch of shops there. So I was on a mission. Have you ever gone somewhere and was on a mission to find something specific? It's one thing when you just go and kind of look around and see what's there, but when you have something specific in mind, It's a little different. Well, I had something specific in mind that I wanted to go see or go find for him, that Ole Nassau rum. So I was kind of looking around different shops. And one shop that I came into that I'm going to give a shout out here because I ended up having a little rapport with them in time, Emporium De Coconut, run by a couple named Rob and Yulette Davis. Uh, I had gone into there. She was very nice. Yulette was in there, and they sell things like soap and different um, things local to Nassau, um, lotions, shampoos, things like that. But anyways, went in there and asked her, and she had heard of it, but was thinking that they didn't make it anymore. I was like, oh, okay. And no one else had really heard of it either. People that I'd asked around, she had heard of it, but didn't think that they made it anymore. Like, okay, real nice lady, and that was that. So continued on, and in that area where the ships are docked, a lot of shopping is right there, but it's gated off. I may have mentioned that earlier. It's gated off. When you get out of the gate, you walk out, you're walking into the city. Not like it's high skyscrapers, that type of city, but it's still the city of Nassau. And right outside is more shopping, more souvenir, a lot of souvenir places. I believe also, if you're as you're walking out, if you went to the right, there's Senor Frogs. If you've ever heard of Senor Frogs, I believe that was over there. And so there's one street that's right next to it. If you go over one more down, you'll see another main street with a ton more shops and other things to see. And then they've got some streets in between that connect it. There's also a big, say like a flea market type area, but a big area where many different vendors for them have stands set up. Some do wood carving, some have maybe leather products, souvenirs, whatever. There's a ton of that type of stuff. So, but also there's different alcoholic places too, places that sell alcohol. So I went into a few of them, couldn't find it, but I did eventually come across it, and I was like, hey, this is it. This is the one that he wanted, Old Nassau. I finally found it. Looked at the price. I was like, okay, I'll see if there's any more around, just to be sure. And I found it at one other place, and the other place did have it for a little bit cheaper. So only two places I remember having it. So at the end of it, I ended up getting it from there, and I eventually went back to Eulette and told her, I was like, hey, that rum that I was asking about, there are still some that are still out there that have it, and I showed her. She's like, oh, okay, very nice. So now she knew, and that was it. Eventually went home, gave it to my coworker. He loved it. He was super excited about it. So that was nice. I was glad I was able to find it for him. He was raving about it. I never tried it. I guess it was good. If you've known about it, if you've ever tried it, let me know how you liked it and what your thoughts are. Old Nassau rum. But I'm glad I was able to find it for him. And I was glad I was able to get it to him. So that was part of the experience. So that was one of the things that I had in my mind that first time that we went. I was on, I guess you could say, a mission for. The second thing was a friend of mine who is from the Bahamas originally. She married someone from here in Michigan, and she lives up here now. Actually, her and her sister both married uh, people from up here and live in Michigan. So both friends of mine. And she was one time when we were hanging out together, was telling me about something called conch, a conch salad. Never heard of it. Never heard of conch before. And if I looked at it, Conch is how it's spelled. I think I would even pronounce it conch because that's kind of what it looked like to me. But she corrected me and said it's conch. Like, oh, conch salad. And she described what it was. Certain fish that's out there, they cut it up and put in maybe like tomatoes and onions and all kinds of things to make this salad, lime juice, I think. And she was telling me how good it was and describing it. It sounded good to me. Minus maybe the onions. I'm not a humongous onion fan, but she said you could get it without onion. So I was kind of in a mission too to also try conch salad, based on my friend's recommendation. And there was a lot of souvenir places, a lot of alcohol places, and a lot of a variety of things too. And so I was like, where am I going to find conch salad? I know it's going to be here somewhere. And sure enough, there were some restaurants, and I was looking around. But throughout walking around, I found this little kind of hole in the wall restaurant. Where sometimes little hole in the wall restaurants have the best food. Had a little hole in the wall restaurant. It was me, my wife, and the other couple walking around, and I saw that they had conch on the menu there. So we went in there, ended up sitting down, and each getting a meal. And I ended up trying what was called a conch platter. So not only did it have the conch salad, it also had fried conch, conch soup, and possibly a fourth way of having it. At least three ways. I was like, well, there we go. Now I'll get a chance to try all the different ways to eat conch. And it was good. I have to admit, I did enjoy it. It was something that I had never tasted before. It was something that I wasn't sure if I would like it, especially because I'm not good with spice, and sometimes you go someplace and they might be a little heavy-handed with making things spicy, but they didn't, and I even mentioned that, and they were sure to make sure that it wasn't spicy, and it was tasty, and the soup too. I really enjoyed it and the soup flavor that they had. So if you ever have a chance to try conch salad, or whatever version of conch out there you might come across, if you're in the Bahamas or anywhere they might serve it, give it a try. See if you like it. Let me know how you do. Or if you've had it before and like to share your experience with me about it, I'd love to hear about it. So that was one of my missions as well, being able to get the Ole Nassau rum and be able to get try conch salad, or try conch anyways. But I did get to try conch salad. That restaurant, we were walking around. So going back to our friends, so me, my wife, and this other couple, we waited for them. We got with them. We walked out, and as we were walking out, because we came in a little bit later, as we were walking out, we noticed. Well, I take that back. We went out and walked around. Eventually, we did come back in for lunch. I know that sounds maybe kind of funny mentioning that I just had the conch salad, but the conch salad actually came later on. But we came back in for lunch, had a good lunch on the Carnival cruise ship, went back out. As we went back out, we ran across my dad and my uncle and aunt coming back onto the ship. So I'm glad they were having a nice time, because we were kind of worried, like because we didn't get with them. But they seemed to be having a good time. They were coming back in to eat as well. So we went back out, walked around some more, and that's where we eventually came across that restaurant. But by the restaurant, there was also a big home, a big building. I want to say it was like a governor's home or some kind of, I don't quite remember, a governor's palace type of place. And right next to it was like a place where they could have like either someone giving a speech or a platform of some kind, but then stadium like seating that went up. So a lot of people could be there, maybe even like a concert almost, or a politician was giving a speech, with a lot of people. You have it there. Got to see that a little bit. Got to walk around the little premises that they had there. It looked nice. And I remember also that was a trip that I had run out of. I always like to try to check my travel toiletries before I go on a trip, and like head to Walmart or someplace to get them if I need it. Well, I didn't. Forgot to do it, or forgot to look. And next thing you know, when I was on there, I forgot. I ran out of deodorant, which is like, oh no. And of course, if you buy it on the ship, it's very expensive. Plus, it's a bigger one, and I wanted a little travel size one to be able to put in your carry-on bag and put it in a little Ziploc bag that you can pull out real quick at the airport. So I was looking for that, and I did find one. There was like some kind of pharmacy there. I was able to get one for a relatively low price. I was happy about that. So I got the deodorant, I got the rum, then I got the conch salad, all within that visit. The things that I was on the hunt for, I was able to get. The second time around, I wasn't on a mission for all that, but I did have people in mind that I wanted to get some souvenirs for, and there was a lot of souvenirs there. And this time, when coming out, I was with the other couple and my dad. The other friends that we were with, they went to the beach, and there's beaches to go to. In fact, the first time my uncle and aunt and my dad went to the beach, if I remember correctly, it took them down a ways to get there, and I didn't feel like walking that far to go to the beach. They got to go, and then the second time, the mother and daughter that we were also with, they went pretty much every stop we went on that MSC cruise. They were at the beach, so they were they were there, and the second time around, it was the other couple, my dad and us, and I love being with that other couple because they wanted to just experience, everything that was local there. So they tried the Bahama Mama. They bought like some local hats, like straw hats that were made there. And what else did they try? I forget, but they were, they would get souvenirs and things like that. Me, I was a little more like, I don't spend a ton of money on myself when it comes to trips. Every so often, I'll get something, but this was their anniversary. They were having fun with it, so they're getting all kinds of things. So it was kind of cool being with them. And then as we were walking around, I was seeing the same things, but one of those, and once you go outside the gate, if you go across the street, there's two corner souvenir stores, and the one that's on your right on the corner is a big souvenir store inside of there. And there we were looking at keychains, and we saw some names um, that I don't get to see too often. One of them is my wife's name, which is Selena, and another one, a couple that's our friends, that were back home at the time. Her name was on it, and with his, I don't know if I didn't look for his name or not, but he's a big soccer fan. I saw a keychain that said "I Heart Soccer," and they're all shaped in the form of um, a surfboard. So I was like, well, let's get those. And we got those as souvenirs because Selena she doesn't find her name too often either. And the other ones, thought it'd be kind of cool for them. And they seem, when we eventually did give it to them, they seemed to like it. I'll see them having it on them. So, yay for that. Glad they liked it. So we walked around, but we ended up going to a Greek restaurant. Now go figure. Right, there's a Greek restaurant on the Bahamas. It's not on the first road that you come out of, but if you go over the road after that, it's on that restaurant. And we went inside the Greek restaurant, and it was upstairs. The restaurant was upstairs. It was also connected to, I believe it was like a jewelry store. The owner owned both. I think the jewelry store is on the first floor. The Greek restaurant was on the upper one. We ended up going up there, and I tried conch again. I don't remember in the form that I tried it, but I did try it again. And everyone else got some things too. And and if you're in a Greek family, at least if you've ever been around, where we kind of share food with everyone that's around. Here, try this. Here, try that. We do that a lot. So we did that. So I did get to try different things with that. I got full though, and I knew we were gonna eat, but I didn't eat a ton. I did eat though. I ate a lot on that trip. We got up there, and we were, because we're from Michigan, and the couple, some of us had Michigan stuff on. I believe at least the husband of the couple had Michigan gear, and the waitress kind of gave us a little bit of a hard time with it because she went to Ohio State, and you know what, I know it's a rivalry. I don't care. It's not that big of a deal to me, but a lot of people take that way too far, way too serious. And so she was kind of giving us a hard time, and she ended up not serving us. She ended up sending someone else to serve us. Oh well, it is what it is. We still enjoyed the meal, enjoyed their time together there, and eventually left. It was interesting that because this stop was not uh, the original plan, it was a detour to move around the bad weather, and it was not originally planned to go there. We ended up getting into Nassau a little bit late, and because of it, they extended the stay of how long we were going to be there. Most of the cruise ships are kind of in and out by, I believe, 5 p.m. And after we were done with our dinner, we were walking around, and it was past 5 p.m. We still had time before we had to go back on the ship because I don't think we were leaving until, I don't know, 7 or 8, something to that effect. We were there longer than other people. But it was so interesting that once 5 o'clock hit, everything was being shut down because the majority of the ships were gone, and that area is pretty much open for the tourists that are coming in on the ships. So we were watching people leaving, going back home, stores closing up shop, and you know we're sitting there just shopping around, eating sample rum cake, little tiny bites of those. We're pretty good actually. But everyone's leaving, everything's closing down. So even though we could stay there a little bit longer, it's like, well, we might as well start heading back to the ship. We start heading back to the ship. Most things are closing down, and as we're going back to the ship, I noticed that Emporium De Coconut, which I had met 2 months earlier and asked about the rum, was still open. And there's Yulette, the person that I had met before. So, I'm just going to go and see if she even remembers me. I mean, it was a couple months ago, but how many people asked for Ole Nassau rum? So there's a potential remembrance there. So I go in there, say hello, bring it up. I was like, I don't know if you remember me, but a couple months ago we were here and I asked you about Old Nassau rum, and just want to say hello again. Yeah, oh yeah, I do remember that, and got into a nice conversation with her. Very friendly, a lot deeper conversation than had been before, and because everything was closing down, her husband ended up joining there. They were staying open until pretty much all the cruise ships left. At that point, it was just our cruise ship, so um, not everyone was staying open. In fact, they were one of the few. Apparently, they also have an ice cream store that's more inside the city, not out there by the ships, that he was manning, and that was either closing or it closed. So he came to be with Yolette at their soap stand and the things that they sell there. So I got to meet him as well, and had a nice conversation with them. And one thing that I had brought up to them, and you may be thinking this yourself, uh, because it's Nassau, Bahamas, was the travel advisory about going to Nassau, the violence that uh, have occurred. And I was a little hesitant to go to Nassau as well. First off, we had already been there back in December, and second off, I had heard about it too. There were some people that had brought it to my attention. They were a little concerned. I was a little concerned too. And I've gone on cruises before and not got off the ship. Just stayed on the ship. We had a cruise that was around COVID time, a little bit after things that were starting to settle down, but not quite yet, and gone back to normal yet. We went on a cruise and never got off the ship. I'll talk about that in another podcast. So I would have been perfectly happy being able to just stay on the ship and just play it safe. But everyone else seemed to be okay going off. Daylight, be around a lot of people. Okay, so we got off. But by the time it was all ending, most people were already gone. Safety numbers you might feel was not there anymore. Dark, it was getting darker. And so, anyways, just brought it up to him. And he mentioned to me, and I got a kick out of this actually. So they're a mixed couple. He's white from the States, she's black, she's from the Bahamas. And he said, I'm a white man living in a black world, and I leave my house, walk around at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and feel absolutely safe and fine. I was like, oh, okay. He mentions that the media can feed into things what they want people to hear, and I guess that is true. There's some truth to that. And so, the violence that you hear mostly, I guess, the gangs within themselves, they don't really mess with the tourists or anything. It's more of just gang related amongst themselves. But he said he felt fine, he felt safe, and he lives there. I was like, okay. So I'll relay that to others. If you have a concern about going to Nassau, that might help, ease it a little bit. That might help allay your fears. It did for me, even though we had already been there pretty much, all day. But not that I was overly scared of going, but just, a little concerned from what you hear. You just never know. But I understand what he was talking about. And being that he seemed perfectly fine, I thought to myself, okay, that's good. That's good to know. And going forward, if a chance to go back to Nassau happens, okay, I won't be as hesitant about going to it. So I'm glad that I was able to talk to them. They gave me their business card. We exchanged, I guess you could say, Instagram handles. So if you ever do go to Nassau, feel free to look them up. They're right there as you get off and get on that main strip. If you're walking down towards exiting, I guess you could say, down there, they're going to be on the right, closest to the ships. You'll see them. So they've, as I mentioned, they've got soaps, lotions, shampoos, of course, different things within their little stand. Feel free to talk to them, say hello, say hi to them for me. I don't know when the next time I'll get to go back to Nassau is, but lovely little couple, lovely little stand. Give them a shout out and take a look, as well as the restaurant that we did get to eat at. I thought that was really good. If you want to try a conch salad, by all means, give them a try. Give them a try. Bahamian Cooking Kitchen, I think the name of that was, and they were good. Um, yeah, a lot of nice things to see. And this is just us just walking around. That's all we did. We didn't, there's if you go on a cruise ship, there's plenty of um, things that you can do, different excursions you can get. You can go to the beach. They have Atlantis there. I mean, that's that's one huge thing. I didn't go to Atlantis. You could see it from a distance, which it's really pretty, real big. So obviously, I mean, that in itself is like its own tourist attraction right there. But there's plenty of things excursion wise that you could do in the Bahamas, and yeah, so feel free to look them up as regards Instagram, and of course myself, Instagram, Facebook. Feel free to look me up as well. I really did enjoy my time there both times. As I mentioned, um, the second time wasn't planned necessarily. I was a little disappointed to go. It's like, oh, I really wanted to try 2 days in a row someplace just to say that I did it. But I'm glad that we got to go, especially since I got to see Yulette again and meet her husband Rob, and go to that little stand again, see a familiar face, get a little uh, consistency when it comes to seeing something again and again, which I really enjoyed. If you're looking to go on a cruise, you're looking to go to the Bahamas, let me know. Love to help book it for you. You can reach out to me, j.paradise.travels at gmail.com, or you can reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook, Jay's Paradise Travels. It's Jays. I don't put an apostrophe in it. So just Jay's Paradise Travels. I'd love to help you out. So thanks for listening today. And please feel free to rate, like, subscribe, share, 5-star review, all those good things that podcasters look for, ask for in order to keep their podcast going. So appreciate you listening, and I look forward to talking with you again another time too. Take care. Bye bye.